This episode is sponsored by Zenro Clothing Co. Pick up your tees and or accessories at zenroclothingco.com and be sure to use offer code Socrates at checkout for 20% off select items. Also, if you're not into spending the money, just check out the Zenrail radio playlist. zenrailclothingco.com, music for your everyday. This episode also sponsored by The Portian Bakery. If you're located in the Portian area of Scarborough, Toronto, be sure to check out The Portian Bakery, say what's up to Arville, and pick up a donut or two. Baked daily, crafted with love. This episode also sponsored by Podbean. Podbean is the podcasting platform of choice. It's the one that me and Vish use, and is great, you know, if you're looking to start that DIY podcast yourself. Definitely check out Podbean. Use the link podbean.com/SocraticGamers and gain 1 month of unlimited podcasting for free. Test it out, build that content. Anyone could podcast, right, Vish?
Yep.
Start a podcast and get your ideas out there. All right, enjoy the episode. Okay, so how long has it been since you've watched Defending Jacob?
A long time, so I don't remember the ending.
Okay. So basically, total spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it yet, you're like late on the game. We watched it only recently, like we just finished it yesterday, but it took us like a while. But it's been out for years, right?
I think 2020 it came out.
Okay, so yeah, years, like 2 years ago. Basically, the whole premise of the show is that you're watching the dad recount a trial between his son and another schoolmate, and everyone thinks that the son killed the student, right? And there's like so many twists and turns because they make you think it's like one other person. They switch it to like there's like the pedophile guy that they think it is, and then there's the best friend who they think it is, and then it just keeps like moving around. But then you go back to like, oh, maybe it's Jacob because of all the evidence that's pointing to him. So basically, like 3 days after the killing of the boy, Jacob wrote on a website basically a breakdown of how he killed the kid. But then he was like, oh no, this is fake. It's like I wrote it like just out of my imagination, right? Yeah. And then the pedophile guy who they thought it was, he ends up killing himself and confessing. But the twist there is that the grandpa that's in prison pulled some strings to make somebody force the note and then kill himself. And then the father, Chris Evans, finds out. I'm just giving you a quick synopsis. Then the father finds out that the grandpa did it. And then, so now he's like, so did my kid kill him? Because everyone thinks he killed him, like, especially with the confessional story. But he's like, no, it's just like a story. And then the mom was like, oh, it's a confession. Right. And then, so that happens. And then they go to Mexico, and then the kid is out with a girl, and then she goes missing. And then the dad confesses to the mom about like the murder through the grandpa. And then now throughout the whole thing, the mom is kind of like, my son's a killer. She's like freaking out. And then when she finds this out, now everybody thinks that he killed the girl. But then she turns up like 2 days later. It turned out she was like drugged at a party, and then they like took her out, and she was like being held somewhere. So then it's like, okay, so maybe he's not a killer. So the whole thing's about like, is he a killer? Is he not a killer? Right? And then the final episode, it turns out the reason why they're interviewing Chris Evans, you think it's like, oh, maybe the kid died, or like, why is this like a flashback? Like, why is the whole thing a flashback? It turns out the mom couldn't take it anymore, and she was like, I don't know if you're a killer or not. So out of her stress and anxiety, she like guns the car as fast as she can, and then she drives into a wall. And then the whole thing turns out to be a case of, did the mom try and kill Jacob? So that's why the dad's giving the testimony, because the sorry, you're definitely going to hear Athena for this one. So the reason why the dad's giving the testimony is because he's trying to get his wife off of the murder charge. Right. Okay, so you think it's all about the kid, but you realize it's just a flashback to get to this point where, should we charge the mom or not? And then he goes to jail. She goes... They're both in the hospital, so he visits the wife in the hospital. Jacob's like in basically a coma. because he's like super hurt. And then the mom is like awake, but she doesn't remember what happened. So she's like, well, like, why would they think I want to kill my son, blah blah. And then like there was so much evidence that she did do it too. And then basically Chris Evans is like, he like protects his family by like, he's like the main lawyer of the town. He's like, okay, I got my son off. Now he's trying to get his wife off, which he ended up doing. But like the final scene is he goes back to his house and he's like drinking alone. And like you could feel the stress of like all this craziness that happened to him, right?
Right.
Okay, so the reason why I bring this up is because you think the show's about Jacob, right? But it's actually about the mom. And the whole thing was watching her slowly deteriorate into like psychosis over like, is this true or is this not? And what it really made me think about is in life, it's like a strong mind is everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's like the whole show was just about like she couldn't take the lies and the deceit, and then like, can I trust my kid? Can I not trust my kid? We shouldn't be here. Somebody died because of you, and then she tried to like kill both of them.
Yeah.
You know, and like it's like because you see like Chris Evans's thing where he's measured through the whole thing. He's just like, I'm just trying to do the best for my family and like whatever. Like he didn't let life get him down.
Yeah.
And it's almost like that was the point of the story.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. But like for his side, it's like, I mean, his dad was a murderer, right? Was that?
Yeah.
So like he's already coming from that side where he's not letting that control his life.
Right. Oh,
so he already has built the ability to do that.
Right. Like decompartmentalize and like put stuff aside. Because she did say this, like Chris Evans is like, he's not a murderer. And she's like, how do you know that? And he's like, nobody can hold that kind of lie for that long. And then she's like, you did, because he didn't tell his whole family about his dad being a murderer.
Right.
And then he was like, oh yeah, you're right. So then it's like, yeah, what you're saying is correct. Is like he had to go through a hardship in his young life, and he learned how to cope. He built like a very strong mental fortitude around it. Like everyone's like, oh, I've never seen him angry. Like except for one time when another lawyer tried to rile him up by being like, oh, your dad's a murderer, blah blah blah, and he got pissed. But then like when they were doing the trial, they're like, oh, I've never seen him mad or anything like that. He's always measured. He's always calculated.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh,
because he doesn't want his dad's gene to come out, kind of thing.
Yes.
So he's always been always looking like protecting himself from that.
Yeah, right, for sure. And the wife, she's never dealt with anything this stressful. So like, it's like a crisis of conscience or like reality.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, like for anyone that gets put into that kind of situation, like we see that all the time in real world, right?
Yeah.
Like it's having like everyone judging you without knowing you.
Yes. All those stressors.
But
what I'm trying to get at is like, it's like you can't control life, but you can control how you react to it.
No, I know, but I'm saying like that's true in the general context. Yes, you're correct. But like at these extreme levels, like it's hard for any human.
No, so I totally agree with you, but that's why I love the show, because it was actually like a parallel between two coping strategies. Like she couldn't cope and then he could cope, but he was like burying it every time. She kept saying to him like it's always one thing, because like she was getting mad, and then he's like, you're gonna let this one thing get between our family? She's like, it's always one thing with you, one thing, right? It's like you never crack or whatever, but it's like he can't crack. But you said he grew up with his dad being a murderer.
Yeah.
So he had to really figure out the coping strategy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's almost like if you look at the story of like Buddha, you know, you need that trauma. You like, everyone's obsessed with like avoiding trauma, you know, in their lives, right? Like you don't want to, you know, like you don't want to be bullied, you don't want to be made fun of, you don't want to be robbed. But it's like if you don't go through those things and learn how to be resilient from those things, then it's like when something hard does happen, how are you going to deal with it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
like
it's
fascinating.
It's kind of like, but everything has, those traumas come in drips, kind of thing, you know, like it doesn't.
It's like a medicine drip.
Yeah.
Like it's like, okay, I'll deal with this one.
Yeah.
But whereas hers, it was like a giant.
All
like,
at once.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because like he was even, because so he's a criminal prosecutor. So like he actually quit his job in the end. And then she's like, oh, why are you quitting? He's like, I can't do it anymore. Being on the other side, he's like, I know how it feels now. Because his job was to like
go after the criminals.
Yeah, right. But he was the criminal now. So it's like, oh, I see like all the stuff that people go through, like the news, the tabloids. Like he knew what was going to happen in the family. He's like, okay, just like understand that this wave is coming, right? But they didn't understand it, but he had seen it. Like, I guess you're right. It's like the medicine drip method.
Yeah.
You know, you need to slowly build your reserves for like hardship, you know? And then when something does happen, it's like, how do I cope with this?
Yeah.
You know? It's weird because like you can take the example of like stubbing your toe, and then people get mad at like life.
Oh yeah,
like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, oh, why'd you do this door? And you're like, what time the door didn't do anything? You stubbed it, right? Yeah. But you'd see them like shift blame and like other things and
any little thing, people who overreact to little things.
Yeah. It's the story we tell ourselves though, right? Because Tara was like watching me and she's like, well, do you think Jacob's innocent? Well, I was like, he wasn't proven guilty. So like, that's my coping thing. It's like, well, technically, you know, but as soon as you start adding like a narrative around, it's like, well, but all the evidence surrounding it was, now we're just getting into like a weird psychological problem.
You're making, he's not guilty as per the law. That's what it is.
Exactly.
That's the fact.
Exactly. And it's like, if you start adding the what ifs, then it's like, you could what if anything.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
You know? But that's like the thing about life. And like, we're always, I think that's what it is, where it's like people are like too in the what if scenario, that's where the anxiety comes in.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, well, what if you know, lost all your money, and what if you lost your house? What if, you know, all this stuff? It's like, well, what if you just got hit by a car? You know, but then nobody thinks about that. They're like, oh, well, that's unlikely. It's like, yeah, but you're placing other things as a higher what if probability than being hit by a car. But we could literally be hit by a car at any moment.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and I think like, even from my own perspective, I think of it like that all the time. You know, it's like, I was telling you, I was like running. I don't know if I told you this, but I was like, I always run in and out of jiu-jitsu. And then they were like, oh, we just want to strap a GoPro on you, like the people on the front desk. I was like laughing. And then they're like, we're all so curious, like what your life is like. And I'm like, well, what are you talking about? Right? It's like, if you like look at my life, it's very basic. But I just don't want to waste time. I told them that. I was like, I just don't want to waste time. And they're like, whoa, don't want to waste time. It's like an axiom in their mind. They're like, oh, that's so intelligent. But it's like, no, but I'm just focusing on the fact that I could really die tomorrow. Like, what am I going to do with my time?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's like those medicine drip psychological things that like rewire your framework that you were saying. You know, because it's not new that I was thinking about death. It was like,
yeah.
Right? Like my whole life. So it's like, is the key to everything hardship? You know, we're becoming so soft now, like not in a bad way, but like, you know, no bullying, everyone's inclusive, everyone's like, those things are super important.
No, I think that's the general way that we want society to go, but
like peace loving, right?
Yes, but I think to learn how to live life, you need the hardships.
You're right. Yeah. So it's like, if we like, they make these jokes, like, so like, there's two extreme ends, right? And I like to pay attention to both. And I find that like the SJW end is like, everyone's got to be equal, blah, 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 super nice, whatever. And then there's the jiu-jitsu end where they are so, but I get it though, because they're putting themselves through like hardship. But every jiu-jitsu person is all about struggle. It's like if we give each other participation trophies, we're going to be a weak society. It's like, yeah, but we're also not in a war mentality. Yeah. Right. So for me, it's like, I'm trying to figure out the middle ground, you know? So I get their point, because it's like, I have to put myself in hardship or else I won't understand how to cope.
Yeah.
You know?
I think it depends on the level of like, what things can we change to make things better. Right. I think like everyone getting a participation trophy, maybe there's like an age limit to that. Right.
Okay. But that's not good coping if you teach a kid from a young age, like, you'll get a trophy anyways.
No, I know. It's more like, I don't know, because it's like, you don't get the same trophy as the guy that's number one, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So
it's still like a trophy
one.
as in like you tried your best. But
okay, I see that point.
You know what I mean? Like it depends on how you teach the kid.
Or what if there's like no winners? We're all winners. Like that mentality. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, that's not true. Yeah.
Right? Like it's a weird concept nowadays when we're trying to be so inclusive.
Yeah.
But I think maybe that's the thing. It's like it's not about being inclusive. It's about being kind. I really think that's
no.
The
it
answer.
Is no. It's coming from that. Yes.
No. But I mean, like kindness doesn't matter if you win or lose. Just be kind.
No. I know, but it's like that's where it's coming from. I think the root of this is.
Oh, but it like
is coming from that,
into
but
like uber kindness.
No, I just think that we're trying to figure out what is the best way to do that kind of thing, right?
Okay,
it's just, this is just one of the reactions, which is.
But it's almost like you need people who go through hardship to figure that out for us. Like it's like, oh, don't go this way. You know what I mean? Like if you have somebody that's been through really, really hard times, then their wisdom will be like, don't follow me. You know what I mean? But if you have no hard times and you're trying to change society for the better, quote unquote, it's like, but you have no frame of reference of hardship. Like, all right, I'll give you an example.
But it depends on how you're looking at it, right? So, so for instance, someone that's coming from a poor background, that's the hardship of learning to study and then getting a good job or whatever, right?
Yeah, okay.
But yes, some of them will find their way through those cracks, but majority of the people don't.
So what they're trying to do is like
they're trying to help more people. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, because only a few would actually figure a way out, but it's still leaving a lot behind, right?
But isn't that evolution?
Yeah, no, but as a society, you're trying to
get everyone like a rise
to have everyone grow, right?
It's like that line where like you can only go as fast as your slowest buffalo, because like you have to accommodate everyone.
Yeah.
But like, yes, in a utopian society perspective, sure, but our social system isn't built that way. Why do people get paid more than other people? No, but like, you know what I'm saying? Because they worked harder. They did something that, for example, okay, so my sister makes a ton of money, right? But I'm like, I don't want to be your job. I don't want to like take care of people. Yeah. So it's like, but the hardship is different. It's almost like we're talking about communism here. It's like, why should the...
Well, socialism, right? That's the whole...
okay. So socialism is, interchangeable with like communism. Like communism is like, the government controls every aspect of it and like everyone's pay is equal. They control the prices. Similar to socialism too, though. Like, what
socialism, it depends. There's a variety of types of systems, but yeah.
Okay,
like,
I just went with communism.
How they all work, yeah.
Okay, I just went with communism because I know that in communist countries it's relatively level. Everyone's pay. So like the doctor can be paid as much as like the school bus driver, and that's why people don't like it.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's all. Okay, but like do we have like a perfect communism?
Cuba or something like that.
Yeah, Cuba makes more sense. I don't think China is like that.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Yeah, but they're communists.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I know, but now we're getting to like the idea of mixed economies because like people say that they're communist, but they're not really. It's like a spectrum of like control, like full control by the government, which is communism, or like free market, which is you control your own pay, and like every country is within that scale. Certain countries are more communist than others. But going back to it, it's like, so then are we arguing like if we lived in communist countries, it would make sense to make everybody equal. Like that's what you're championing for, but I don't understand you. Like there is a disconnect between the philosophy of the people and the philosophy of the government.
Yeah.
So like we all like the philosophy is like we all want to be inclusive, diverse, whatever. But the government system or like the governing system of like capitalism and the way governments are structured is not like that.
Yeah, I think it's more trying to find
a balance between the two.
Yeah, where you're giving opportunities to people that want to take those opportunities.
Okay.
right?
That's why they should have UBI. Then that's like full equality.
Yeah, but true. We'll see.
Right? No, but like,
Yeah.
if you really want full equality, it's like, okay, if we all want equal pay, and then if you want to work harder and make more money,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Yeah.
You could do that if you want.
Yeah.
I feel like we are in a very weird transitionary period. I see where it came from though, because like our generation was super rough, like
well, it's not the same. I wouldn't say it's as super rough as the previous generation, right?
True, we didn't even have a world war. Yeah, no, for sure. Oh, I see. Like progressively, it's getting softer and softer.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, fair point.
It's just inevitable, right? Like I think everything is cyclical in that sense.
No, yeah, for sure it is. Yeah.
So we'll reach a certain point, and then
there's gonna be some sort of war. People are gonna piss the
something happen. Yeah, it's everything always changes. Nothing stays the same.
So do you think like a full utopian society is actually possible, or like what would that even look like?
Well, maybe we might reach that, but I think that eventually there will be other issues that will end up coming out, like we don't think about, right?
So to go back to the hardship thing, it's like the mom was that utopian perspective. She never really had a hard life, so she didn't know how to become resilient. And then the father had a hard life. And then he became resilient. So it's this like, again, this juxtaposition of like, do we need hardship or do we all become soft? And that's what I'm really getting at here. It's like it
depends on what you want out of life, I guess.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, what do you mean? Like if you just want to remain in a bubble, or?
Yeah, I think people that want to change, they want to go through hardship.
Like they actively pursue hardship.
Actively pursue it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, fair. I see that.
Well, others would probably try to avoid as much.
For sure. But then going back to the principle of the whole thing about resiliency and like mindset matters in life, it's like without the hardship, how can you build that kind of mindset?
No, I know. But that's up to the individual, right? So
yeah,
how they want to live life kind of thing. Like saying one is right or the one is wrong. It's a made up thing.
Totally, yeah. But I just feel like we're setting ourselves up for failure with the current road that we're going down. Like I get what you're saying about like, like, oh, however they want to live their life, but what if they don't even know they're living their life like that?
True.
Does she know, like the mom in the defending Jacob, does she know that her pursuit of softness, like she's like, oh, it's great now, but then when it hits the fan, it's like, what are you gonna do? How are you gonna react to this? And then she ended up like trying to kill herself and her son. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like
that's a level.
So when you say
extreme,
like, right? And then when you say like, however you want to live your life, I almost feel like she didn't even know she was living that kind of life. And I feel like it's sort of like this. If you only if I give you an option of like Coke or Pepsi, you will only think of Coke or Pepsi. You don't even know there's a third option. So it's almost like the government is the thing, or like society is the thing that's being like Coke or Pepsi. And then you don't even know, you're just following into one of the streams, but still the same stream.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is no choice to live how you want to live your life. Right? Because you're like, oh, however you want to live your life. But
that's what I'm saying. Like they want to
Coke
give
or Pepsi.
Right.
But if they only see Coke or Pepsi.
Yeah.
It's like, so how do I choose between, like, if they're both soft
Well, it's
outcomes,
not about, it's not. No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what I mean about like we're kind of headed down a weird road because you're only giving soft outcomes or soft choices.
Yeah. Well, that's why it's it's generally people that go through hardship try to teach others, right?
Yeah, true. But like if the system's like anti-bullying, like zero bullying policy, or else they get suspended. It's like, well, what if somebody's rude to you in life later on? You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we've all been bullied though. No,
I know, degree. But like, I think it still happens. I think bullying still happens. It's more of, I know what you're trying to say. It's hard to find the the middle ground. Like you don't want to allow bullying.
No, but they did before.
No. It's not like,
and especially with like, bowling for Columbine.
No,
like,
I know,
okay,
but they can't say like, well, we have to allow bullying so you can learn hardship. Like they can't say that.
No, they can't say that, right?
Right.
But it's like, but okay, yes, you're right. They cannot do that. But that's why it's like, what can you do? What can you set up structurally? Like maybe,
I don't think
martial
I think
arts.
like setting up things like anti-bullying and stuff like that is I think is trying to find that middle ground where it's like, I think they can't stop bullying. Bullying's still going to happen. They're kids, right? It's more about giving the coping mechanisms for people who do get bullied, because some people come out of it bad too.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
But how do you? But so instead of building coping, because you're right, you got to build like coping strategies and stuff, and that's why I love the work that like Tara's doing with like the schools, all about mental empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you're giving them tools, but the system isn't built up in a way to give tools.
Yeah, so I think this is the thing about like the parents' job. Right?
No, but okay.
In teaching kids about.
All right, so I get your point, right? But I heard this as well, and I was like thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You spend more time with your friends and teachers than you do with your parents. Really think about that. Like most of the day is with other kids.
You may spend time more with them, but your true self isn't really around them. Your true self is at home. Like how you really are.
Okay, yes. That's who you really are to your parents. But your true self is no self, right? It's like always adapting to the situation.
Sure. No. It's always adapting, but like where you feel the most comfortable is at home.
Yeah, okay, true. But like going back to building coping strategies, that who's like you're saying the onus is on the parents.
Yeah, to teach them
but
like because they're the ones who brought the kids to this world.
For sure. But the school, the society is not giving coping strategies. They're just giving you policies not to do. So no bullying. Okay, but
yeah, but also
bullying is what I was saying.
Sorry,
we need bullying.
No, I know. I think the anti-bullying is there, but also if you're bullied, that you can come forward for help.
Okay.
I think that's also the implication of that.
But right. But okay, so yes, you can come forward for help, but what are they going to do? Now you're just going to be bullied more by other kids. Oh, look, you couldn't take it. You told the teacher. You see what I'm saying? Right? Like, why did we not get
well, then it is trying to find ways to do it where you're not. It's not like everyone knows, right? That you're going in for help for that.
For sure. I agree with you. So, like, to go back to it, I get what you're saying about, like, maybe we need an anonymous hotline for, like, or, like, a way to tell the teacher that you're being bullied. But, like, how does the teacher actually help you in that situation without baiting out your scene?
Well, I think that's all part of the whole learning or teaching the thing about how to deal with that that's the whole idea of that, right?
Like, what do you mean? Like being like, oh, we shouldn't bully other people because...
No. It's like, I don't think the teacher's gonna like out you like that. Like, how does that?
So then, how would they help? How could they possibly? If I'm like, hey, I'm being bullied, what is the teacher gonna do?
I don't know what are in the anti-bullying policies.
The anti-bullying policies, you're gonna be like suspended. So it's like, why am I being suspended? He told me you bullying him. Okay, well, I wasn't bullying him. Then you get in this whole confrontation. Oh, see, you baited out my scene, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I don't know what the solutions are exactly. But I'm just saying, like, they're trying to find ways. So, like, this is all part of that learning thing. As you, like, which kinds of things work or finding ways to work. Because that's all we're trying to do is solve problems.
For sure. But, all right, now my answer is I think people need martial arts. Like, I know it sounds like very... especially me being a martial artist, like obviously it's biased, but like there's a reason why I study martial arts, because it puts you in a position of like, that's like real equality, because I need you, like, okay, so if we're training, I need to rely on you because I need a body to train with. Mm-hmm. So why would I disrespect you? Why would I break your arm on purpose? Because I need you to come back to train with me the next day. See what I'm saying? So it builds a sense of camaraderie. You're both like building towards something.
Yeah, that can happen. Yeah.
Right. And then they even say like in like it doesn't have to be jujitsu, but like in jujitsu, police officers can train with like gang members. But when you put the uniform on, we're both equal because we're both working together.
No, I can agree with that. The people that you're training with, but do people misuse it?
Yeah, and they get like friggin' like timeout for you, or like you can't come back.
Sure, yeah. Like but like misusing it outside of the martial arts.
Oh, for sure. A lot of people have been caught using martial arts for bad.
Yeah.
Okay, but so if everyone learned martial arts, then you're just battling now. So yes, you're right. They misuse it on people who don't know martial arts. Mm-hmm. But if you see two martial artists go at it, it's like, why are we going at it? We're going to have a UFC fight in the middle of the road?
Yeah. No, I understand that.
So, like, I think with, sorry about Athena, she's like getting really angry at the other dog in the hall. So anyways, if we both know martial art, like if Japanese culture, right? Because you have to take judo in high school, elementary school, all that stuff, right? If everybody knows how to fight, it's like we're just training now. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, if you know how to take me down, but I also know how to take you down, now we're just back in the gym training.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like, how can it be misused? Mm-hmm. Because I would know some techniques that you don't know, and then we're just like, it puts you in that position of like, you've been in this before. You won't feel any fear because you're like, I've done this before.
Right. Yeah.
I think the fear comes of not knowing how to defend yourself. Mm-hmm. Right? Because like, what's the ultimate goal of bullying? I will hurt you.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't do what I say, I'm going to hurt you. Mm-hmm. That's literally what bullying is. Mm-hmm. Or like, I'm just going to make fun of you for some reason.
Right.
But like, if you don't react to it, I'm going to start hitting you, trying to make it worse. Mm-hmm. Right? That is the epitome of bullying.
Right.
What is the function?
Yeah.
But if you've been in those bad situations before, like we were saying, hardship, what would, like, it almost like solves itself in that way. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
And also you get humbled when you train, because like, if you come in as a new white belt and there's like a bunch of people that are way better than you, if you're the bully, you're gonna be like, damn, I don't know anything, and you're like, wow, this could escalate really, really bad. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But like on the side note of that too, why do people become bullies?
Because they're hurt. Yeah, they have trauma, and they're trying to exercise that trauma.
Yeah.
Right. But that trauma goes back to an inadequacy. But I feel like through martial arts, you build a sense of confidence and adequacy.
Yeah, I know. But I think that's also like not having the equal society causing that.
For sure. But that's why I think that everyone should train martial arts. If you just make it like universal, you know, like
No, I get that. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if that solves equal society though.
No, it'll solve violence. You can't solve inequality. Like you mean money?
No.
Money systems?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, of course not.
So
that's
it's still
a whole different issue.
That's what I'm saying. It's still gonna cause.
No, but even if you're poor, it's like I was saying with the uniform thing. It's like, I know you're poor, but we're training together. I need you. Mm-hmm. You know, especially if you're a really nice training partner. Like, there is no animosity there at all. You know. Because I need you.
Yeah.
You build that reliance on another person.
Yeah.
And you take away class systems on the mat. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense? Like,
no, I get that. Yes.
Yeah.
I understand that.
Yeah. Just the more I like watch all these things, like these like mental things, like defending Jacob, or like even with looking at the youth mental health crisis, it's like, or like just looking at bullying in general, it's like, this could really be solved with some adequate martial arts. Mm-hmm. You know? And I feel like that's one of the missing components too, because like, even with like Tara's thing, like mental empowerment, you're giving them a lot of coping strategies, but there's no resistance to exercise those strategies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh, if you get bullied, do this, or like, if you feel a certain way, do this. Mm-hmm. But like, which is super important. If you walk, it's sort of like the analogy of like, if you're walking by a fire, you know not to touch it. Okay. But martial arts is kind of like if you're walking by the fire, you're going to touch it and be like, why shouldn't I touch this? Okay, how close can I go to the fire? You know what I'm saying? Like there's more, I feel like mental coping strategies are like just avoid that thing or like respect the fire, but have distance for it. You know what I'm saying? But with martial arts, it's kind of like, how does the fire work? How badly can I get hurt without, giving up or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Does that
yeah,
analogy
yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I understand what you're trying to say. Like the level, how much.
It's sort of like, okay, so if you have the coping strategy, but then you walk into a burning building, now you're like, oh my God, well, what do? I'm trapped in the fire. But like martial arts is kind of like willingly putting yourself in the fire to learn how to cope.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the side that everyone's missing because they don't want to get hurt. They don't want to get burned. But it's like you need to get burned in life.
Right.
Does that analogy make sense?
I understand that makes sense.
Disagree, agree?
Well, so you can teach that since they're a little kid?
Oh, yeah, I would definitely teach that since little. And imagine if it was generational. So like, not now. If you did it now, you'd have to wait for like 3 generations.
Yeah.
But like, imagine if your parents also knew martial arts, then your grandparents knew martial arts, then you knew martial arts. It's like, okay, like, so if you taught the kid martial arts now, then the parent will have no context from which to help assist the child. It's like, what do you mean resilience? Because they've never built resilience themselves. But if you're a martial artist, you teach your kid martial arts, it's like, no, this is the path forward. Like you've already been through the flame that you can help direct them better. So it's not going to work right now. It's like you're going to have to wait.
No, of course. It's not like right away. I know. It's... Yeah. These are long-term solutions.
Long-term solutions, yeah. And I think in like, especially, I know that there's like mental health crises in other countries, but if you go to places like Thailand, Philippines, Japan, they're really nice. Well, why is that? It's built into their culture. Through not just that, but like the reason why I named those places is because you do martial arts from a young age. Philippines are nice. Everyone has to learn it, right? Because like they also put them through war, so like they have war reserves or whatever, like those countries that make you go through army training. Yeah. So like, my dad had to do it. Like everyone has to do it.
Yeah, like most of those countries do that. Like Israel does that too.
Israel does it, but I heard they're really nice too. So it's like,
well, it depends on who you speak to.
No, yeah, obviously if you're going against the other country, but I mean like locally, right?
Sure.
So like Japan, everyone does judo, and then Thailand, everyone does Muay Thai. It's just a thing, Of course, there's gonna be bullying, but all right, think about it this way. Okay, let's say we're in school, and then they say like if you see bullying, stand up to bullying.
Yeah.
It's like the thing, right? It's like you're just aiding the bully if you don't say anything. But then my thought is like, well, if you confront that bully and you don't know how to protect yourself, that bully's gonna bully you.
Well, yeah. So don't get it's. But
so now, if everybody knew martial arts, let's say that kid's getting bullied, and you're like, bro, you should be better at martial arts, and you're like, well, he obviously can't help himself. So other people are gonna step in. They're like, yeah, we could all take you out. Like, like 4 of us against 1 person, and all of us know martial arts. Like, that's gonna be neutralized really quick. But I think the fear comes of like, how do you stop somebody from bullying? Like, how do you stop somebody from bullying? Yeah. If you're like an innocent bystander, you're being told you should intervene, but how do I intervene if I can't protect myself? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Again, that's why I think everyone should learn it. Because even if you suck at it, by learning it, somebody who sees you will be pretty good at it and like hopefully help you out.
Yeah, but that's just still like
what do you mean?
Like you're saying hopefully someone will help you out.
But it's from like you'll empower them to have more confidence to help out. So if I wanted to help somebody out, but I'm nervous because I'm like, I don't want to get hurt, then why would I help you out? But if I see that and I'm like, oh, I've been here before, then you're just like, hey man, relax.
Well, yeah, I mean, I would say I'm not against any kind of solution. I think that the only thing is you'd have to prove these solutions work.
I think we should look at like case studies from like Asia. But you know that also another part of it too is spirituality. Like all of them are all like really into one religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Thais are really into like Buddhism.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
they have more other. Yeah, but they're all like the same cultural.
But
right?
that's what I mean. So it's like it's not just a martial arts thing. Because I know like if you listen to this, you're like, oh, martial arts dancer. It's like also there's more cultural aspects to it as well.
Yeah.
But just in a society full of people who, you know, are culturally different and you're like at war with one another, I think the best thing to do is learn how to like compete in war to like settle war. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially like if you know how bad it can get. Like if you know how bad okay, so like for example, like jujitsu, being in an arm bar, like somebody's gonna break my arm, I'm like, oh, you could really break my arm. That's why like you tap out, right? But if you know how easily you could break someone else's arm, it's like, why would you want to break their arm?
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We know how bad this can get. So it's like, let's just not make this bad, you know? Or even like doing the knife fighting with your brother. And like, I was just doing random stuff and I was like, wow, I could like kill you so easily, so quickly. So then if I saw somebody with a knife, it's like, do I really want to engage in this? You know, because this could end really badly for one of us.
Yeah.
You know? But if it's like out of sight, out of mind, people are like, do you know what I'm saying? It's like,
I do get what you're saying.
They don't really know the actions.
I get what you're saying, but also that's the thing. There's, you know, violence is what's surrounding martial arts, right?
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's why I like jiu-jitsu, where it's just control.
Right. Yeah. That's yeah. I know that's specifically jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah. Well, that's actually the one I really think. Like, I'm all for this mission that Henry Gracie's on. He's like trying to get everyone in the U.S. to learn jiu-jitsu because there's like bullying stuff that happened. Like, he always posts these like bullying scenarios, and like one kid you'll go home and then like, dad, this kid's bullying me. Oh, I should stand up to him, punch him in the face, right? Then they'll both get in trouble.
Yeah.
But what they do is they do like bully proofing. So what happens is like when you get bullied, you just take them down, wait for the teacher to arrive. You're not getting in trouble; they're getting in trouble because you just neutralize the situation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I would agree with that kind of thing.
But that's the martial art that I'm talking about. It's just like jujitsu. I just said martial arts in general because I didn't want to be like biased, you know, because there's like
no, I know,
but then
when you're not being biased, then that's the situation that could come out.
No, I agree with you. I was just trying to be politically because I have like other martial arts
I think there's
affiliations.
nothing wrong with being
jiu-jitsu.
specific.
Yeah, true. Actually, the biggest differentiator that Henner pointed out, and it clicked in my mind, I'm like, I didn't even realize this, is most martial arts are focused on self-offense, not defense. So the difference being, like with my knife fighting, that's straight offense. Like, I put you down quick, right? But I don't know how to protect myself. Like, I don't know how to protect both of us.
Right.
In that situation. It's either you're going down or like I'm not going down. You know what I'm saying? But like with jiu-jitsu, it's like, it's real self-defense because I'm just controlling both of us to like wait for help to arrive. Yeah. So yeah, you agree with that then?
Yeah.
Like imagine if everyone knew.
I think learning self-defense, learning a way to protect yourself, not in the sense of violence, but by.
No, yeah, definitely don't do Muay Thai. You're gonna crack someone.
That's what I'm saying.
Over.
That was my view of it coming at it, right? So I think it makes more sense in the other way, in jiu-jitsu way. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Just like hold you down.
Yeah.
There is wrestling too, but the only thing with wrestling is they're more about pins.
Yeah.
They're not really about like actual, like I can hold
it's more, it's become more of a sport.
Yes.
Yeah.
But even jiu-jitsu is also becoming more of a sport. That's why I like Gracie jiu-jitsu, which is like the original style. But like there is a way that I could hold you, like pin both of your arms and just hold you down and you can't move. And I'm just going to wait there, you know? And like, so now if we all knew that, like if everyone knew jiu-jitsu, somebody's bullying someone, then like those four people are like, oh, if we just hold them down, we can get them to stop. You know, there's no like violence needed. Yeah.
But yeah, I understand that. But like that makes more sense when you don't have to deal with like what they have in the US, which is gun violence.
Yeah, that's the only thing. It's like, I mean, we can deal with like knife violence here, but that's also like less
I wouldn't say it's as deadly.
It's still deadly, but it's like it's less.
Yeah. It's not as
the radius is not very large. You know,
that's
it's
what
like if you have a knife and I just lock the door, that knife's doing nothing.
Yeah.
But if you have a gun, shoot the doorknob, kick it in, like
yeah, you can do a lot more damage with a gun.
Yeah, I mean we don't have to deal with that issue here, but also in those countries, like I think guns are like illegal in those countries, right? Japan's got a no gun policy.
Yeah. Most of those countries have it illegal for.
You can't just walk into a store and buy a gun.
Yeah, I think most countries it's illegal or you can't buy.
Yeah,
just like that. It's only in America.
What's crazy is they don't want to get rid of that.
Well, they can't. It's the Constitution.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
But you're also too far gone. Like, if I give up my guns, what about the person who didn't give up their guns?
Yeah. But there's like things like what happened in like Australia or like New Zealand, right? After those mass shootings, they had done the buyback.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know about that.
Yeah. But that depends on how the people's outlook is in those countries, right?
Right.
While in America, it's very much...
These are my rights.
Yeah. It's in the Constitution.
Yeah, true. I mean, like, it's so funny because even crossing the border, we went to, I think it was like New Hampshire, me and Tara, and you just feel even though it's a super nice place, like, it's super nice, but you still feel a weird vibe of like, you might have a gun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even like those things over there, it's also each state runs differently. But you just assume all of America is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. We were so we were in a park in New Hampshire, and then
like I remember I remember like going to, I think it was like a convention area. They had a specific, like we would have the normal, you know, like the no smoking sign.
Yeah.
With the
they had no guns.
They had the no guns.
That's so funny.
So it's like,
dude, that's crazy. We were in this park, and this family from Quebec, they were in the park with us, and this one guy had his gun out, and the little kid was like, "Oh my god, look!" And then the mom was like, "It's legal here. It's fine." But it's like, yeah, you have that weird vibe of, you know, at any moment. Or me and Sanjay were in New York before, and we were going home late on the subway, and like I just felt super uneasy because I'm like, I don't know who has a gun here.
Yeah.
It's like implied, you know? They might not have a gun, but it's like...
You're more leaning on it's better to think that they do.
Yeah. That's so scary. What a freaky country when you think about it, eh? You're just like, oh man. Yeah. Weird. Hopefully things get better. I mean...
That's the idea that any society tries to strive towards.
Yeah, but
these things take time, though. They don't happen all like right away.
Do you think in the future, like, I would love to be a part of this
like
system?
in general, like again, like we're all downer on that stuff, but in general, we're way better. Like we're still better at this point compared to like 10 years ago. Let's say.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that, I think that's what we have to keep remembering, that we are going in that direction.
For sure.
Yeah.
I feel like I was having this like conversation with your brother too about like, but I'm equating it to time now. So it's like time is kind of like us having money in the bank, but what are we doing with our time while we're here?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because like the idea of money too, it's like it's super important, super necessary, but if you just like if you're not utilizing it, I'm like, it's like time to me, and I feel like with time we need to spend it more, like, you know what I mean, like what, at the end of your life, like what did you do?
Mm-hmm.
At least that's what's propelling me forward, right?
Yeah. And
I feel like that with the jiu-jitsu thing right now, I see like a huge movement towards educating the police on it, and I really think that in the future that could be something in elementary schools.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm so like fascinated by it, because like I'm really watching this thing closely.
Yeah.
And like even you said, like, that makes total sense if you just control the person, like.
Yeah.
No,
I agree with that. That's what I was like. Again, that's what I said.
What kind of martial arts? Yeah,
what kind of martial arts?
Trying to be politically like even with
because
everything.
The issue is the violence situation, right?
Right.
Both
can
get involved in. But the point is, to not. It's more like holding down the person, not.
Exactly. Yeah.
Which is much makes more sense.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I think in the future, if like enough people see the benefit in it, hopefully it'll change for the better. Like, because it's not even like my optimism. I feel like we, as Canadian,
I mean, any kind of change comes from people pushing for it, right?
Right.
Like individual. It starts from an individual.
Yeah.
That push for it, and then they ended up
Rallying other people.
Yeah, rallying other people around it, and then implementing it in
mass scales and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like with the U.S. and Canada, because like the Gracies are doing such a huge like push over there, Canada follows suit typically, right? And just watching what they're doing in the U.S., I really think it's super beneficial. I think it'll spill over to Canada like soon enough because they're already like some insider news, like they're at the place where I train, they have a contract with like Peel Region or something for like police officers. Cause like the police officers are noticing that they don't have the same training, that is needed to hold somebody down. Like if, we're not going to just jump to our gun. So let's learn some control tactics. And, so as that's starting there, if it's successful, if it's a good case scenario, then like, other place will do it too.
Yeah. I mean, like it's any kind of thing. Any change that you do is all coming from like a research based thing. It has to. You have to prove
like
it
a
that
successful
way.
pilot.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of change, you brought this up before I went to that farmer's market this morning. But Elon Musk bringing everyone back into office post COVID.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I really. Like, is it an equality thing? Is there a reason why? It's like
it's not about an equality thing, because it is an equality thing in the sense that everyone, like the people that are working hard in the manufacturing plant, so everyone who's working at the company should be in office too for at least 40 hours. That's what he's saying.
At least 40 hours per week?
Yeah.
That's a full work week.
Yeah.
So at least 40 hours means you're in the office.
Yeah. If you're working like overtime, you can do that outside of 40 hours, right?
Oh, wow.
So he wants that. And then because he, like in the quote, in those internal emails that he said was, like where they quoted in the article was that if you, like, I think if you don't want to work or, you can pretend to work somewhere else. because that's what's happening is generally people working from home are not working. The full hours, right?
Interesting.
And that is, of course, that's happening. That's why people don't want to go back to work, right?
Right.
So he knows that if you are going to be working when you're in office, that's for sure.
Wow. Interesting. I suppose it makes sense if you're dealing with a car company. I guess.
Again, I think it depends on the field. So I think for a car company, yeah, it makes sense because you have people working in the plant, right? And you want the same kind of treatment for everybody, right?
I guess, yeah. Because like I'm thinking about Jack Dorsey's like Twitter thing. You can, now that it's remote, you can work remote wherever, like for indefinitely.
And then Tesla goes through this thing even last year. So I think they're laying off about 10% staff. It's all
I saw that recently. Yeah.
And they did it last year too, 9%. So generally, like every year, they check and see if they have too many workers.
Interesting.
So what they will do is they'll cut down on some of the salary people, but they'll increase the wages of the hourly.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow, that's nice. But damn, that sucks for them.
But it's if it's a car company, like again, the likelihood of any new car company making it is very slim. Slim to none, right? So you got to be very efficient.
Interesting. I'm more like as time goes on, that line where it's like you live long enough to see yourself become the villain or you die a hero. I'm kind of noticing that now with like Elon Musk, because like he's so great, but like as time progresses, I can see him walking back a couple things, and I'm like, so when you made the initial guess, you weren't fully serious? Question mark.
Which guess?
So like he was talking about UBI, and then he went back on that. Like I watched a recent interview. He's like, oh yeah, no UBI. It's like better to do this other thing, blah blah blah. But I was like, you were such a huge proponent of UBI in the beginning.
I think, but yeah, but again, it's like over time people change or they learn new things.
But that's why I brought up the line about like see yourself become a hero or like die a hero or see yourself become a villain. Because like you're right, things do change over time. But you know his logic was sound back then, but now it's like switching, and it's kind of just proving that you can't really rely on one person for
No, you should never rely
a
on
projection.
Yeah.
But he's like extremely brilliant, so it's like what you say is most
No,
likely
even
going to happen.
no, no. I because I followed him for so long. It's like he would have projections, but you don't always know something new that. So like when they were working on it first, the autopilot or full self driving, it's like, oh, we'll have it by the end of the year. Didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
So why didn't that happen? They asked him in the other interview. It's like, well, we thought we would reach the thing, but we had a ceiling.
Okay.
Where we couldn't like get further than that until we learned something more.
Yeah.
And then now we're back at it again. So it's he implemented again, like maybe by this end of next year. So it's like,
so there's like schools of thought where it's like over promise, under deliver, under promise, over deliver, or deliver exactly what you promised, right? So it's almost like an over promise, under deliver.
Yeah, it's always,
and it's like, oh, that doesn't sit well with a lot of people.
No, I think it's in a way it's good motivation for the workers though.
Yeah, but if you under deliver, it's like,
yeah. So it's a good motivation to the workers, but it does have an effect on people.
Morale.
I wouldn't say people's morale necessarily. I would say more like the stock outcomes. Like, oh, he said this thing. No, that's not working. Or
I guess, but like even from my perspective, I'm like, when he switched on the UBI thing, I was like, oh, that's weird. Like you were so dead set on UBI being a thing. I can't remember what his like new argument was, but he was just saying, or I don't even think he went into it. I think he just said like, yeah, we wouldn't need UBI like he initially thought. Like, he's like, oh, all of the manufacturing will be done by robots, and then we'll just need UBI because people will be out of work. Yeah, I think he's like walking that statement back now, where it's like we actually won't lose our jobs.
Yeah, because right now he believes there's a shortage of
workers. Oh, okay, so that's why he wants.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why he's like, don't bang on UBI, guys. We need you to work.
Yeah, because that's what he's saying. Like, I think we're going to hit a point of like shortage. Like, we're already having a shortage of labor or something, or shortage of staff.
Right.
Where we need more people working.
But that's also a thing about like, what is your barrier to entry for like what requirements do you need to work? Like, say, like,
skills.
Or like, oh, I need you to have 10 years experience before I can hire you for this thing. It's like, well,
yeah. No, that depends. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
So it's like, in order to rectify the shortage of workers, you need to open the door to make it more accessible to become a worker.
Yeah.
Even with the gas thing right now, I'm just like watching a lot of structural things be like come to like odds with one another. It's like, how are we going to get out of this mess? Like today I was just driving and it was like 214.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I think they said it was a new record for Ontario, right?
Yeah, 214.9. So it's basically 215. And I was like, damn, if this thing just keeps getting higher and higher, how are you going to solve this problem? Because it's not a gas thing, it's a ramification thing, because higher gas prices means higher prices for products in stores, means higher payment at the pump.
Yep.
How are you going to drive to that location? But now you're telling all of us to go back into work, like Elon Musk. So it's like, so you're kind of just like bleeding us dry. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, okay, you want me to go back to work in office, but I have to also pay to get there.
Yeah.
So are you going to increase my salary to allow me to get to work?
Well, weren't you coming into work before?
No, but what if they moved? It was like 2 years.
No, I know. Yeah, that was only because of COVID.
Yeah, but all right, but okay. So if you're like, hey, we're working from home, you uproot your life, and your reaction is, but weren't you coming in before? It's
No.
like, so I had to put my life on pause for 2 years, and then in the hopes that maybe you like, or in the
Well, yeah, the
worry that you make me
the
come back.
implication is the same thing with Apple's trying to get people back to work because
Right,
they know no one's working from home. Like no one's.
Okay, but even still, it's like we went through 2 years of that, and then to switch it back, it's like, how do you make me do that? Like, what if people left the city and they bought homes,
Sure.
and then they're like, okay, you gotta come back into work. So I'm gonna sell my house and drive all the way back in,
Yeah, or you have to find another job.
which results in a shortage of labor.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying? It's like it's such a domino effect that it's like, how do you get out of this problem? And that's what I'm seeing now. It's like, do you know what I'm saying? Because you're like, okay, you should come in to work, but if you change your whole lifestyle, and then I'm gonna quit because you want me to come back into work. But then the first problem was a shortage of labor. You just lost a bunch of other people.
Yeah.
Who didn't want to do that job? Who didn't want to have to commute?
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like there's almost like no way out of this.
I think it may give, I would say that would give more, if they're still looking for staff, no one's coming in, or you need certain experiences, I think you'll cut down on necessarily having 10 years of experience to 5 years, let's say.
Yeah,
like that's probably helping people who are
bro.
nearer in the industry who are looking for jobs.
Theoretically. But then the other problem is now you have less experienced workers. So who will mess up more than people who have lots of experience?
Yeah, that's the whole point of the training. Yeah.
Right, but you see what I'm saying? It's like it's like we're in a downward spiral where we can't fix. Right? Does that make sense?
I can see that, but I don't know. Well, yeah, I can see that. Yeah. I mean,
right?
I think
like
yeah.
Every proposed solution has a problem with more problems to them.
Yeah. Well, it's other things. Everything's getting more expensive and things like that.
Unless you adapt and you're just like, okay, sure, you're not working as much from home, but that's what I have to deal with. You know?
Yeah. But I think it depends on, again, it's like how you're looking at it too. If he was looking at it like equally for everybody, so like people who are working in
that makes sense.
Working in the plant, that's what I'm saying. It makes more sense for that. Like I don't think he's going to change that for necessarily Twitter. Like
I don't think so.
You know what I mean? Like I think just equally, it's like everyone they're working multiple hours, right?
Yeah.
Physically, and they're driving into work. I don't see an issue with the office staff not driving into work.
Or why don't you just pay those people more?
Which people?
People that are driving to work. Pay them a premium. So it's like, okay, you can work from home, but we're going to pay these people more because they're coming in.
Well, yeah, I don't know what the other...
Like, wouldn't that make more sense too? It's more of an incentive.
Yeah, but it's also like...
how are you going to recoup that cost because somebody's got to pay for it?
No, but I think even though you're going to pay them more, it's still like... I have to still come into work while the other people get their work from home. Like,
no, but if you're paying me more, it's like that's a choice I made. But it's equal compensation then, because it's like, okay, I'm coming in, so I'm getting paid more. Cool.
Or then should you cut their pay then?
Who? The people that are working away?
Working from home.
That's a legal battle then. Because you can only add pay, but you can't reduce pay.
Yeah.
Because how can you, then HR is going to be like, you can't just cut their pay just because they're...
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So the other way is just to have everyone come in.
Yeah, that's tricky. I mean, like, I'm sure 80% of the people will be like cool with it, and then 10% or the 20% will just be like whatever.
Yeah.
Or like,
well, we'll see how that comes.
They'll be pissed.
Yeah. It's the same for Apple, right? Apple wants people back.
But like you were saying before, it's like industry specific. I feel like
I think these are industry specific because a lot of things with Apple, it's actual physical products. So a lot of ideas come about when you're working
collaboration.
Yeah,
I was asked that recently about like.
I think it depends on the work on the field.
Yeah. Especially if it's creative, because you definitely need to like bounce ideas off one another. Yeah, like tech companies, that makes sense. Like you need to see the product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you need to feel the product.
Yeah, if your product is always online, like Twitter. Twitter is just an online product, right? They don't have anything physical. So
Yeah.
I don't see you necessarily need them in office for that kind of thing.
Yeah, what do you bounce ideas off and just do like a video call, bro? There's nothing to actually touch.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, that makes sense. It's just weird to like observe the post COVID like hangover.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like
yeah.
You know
It's we
it's like how do we right the wrongs?
there is the recession is in the
Yeah, exactly. So
is in the is in the air, right? So
although again we did talk about this like way before, but it's almost like we kick the problem down the road, kick the can of the problem down the road. You know, like we'll deal with that later. Because like we were saying on the podcast, like the post COVID recession, like the money thing is going to be a huge problem, but nobody was like worrying about that because the main problem right now is COVID.
Yeah, the main problem was COVID and getting
People vaccinated and stuff.
getting people vaccinated, but also getting people paid.
Right. And then now that that's dealt with, now
Yeah, with the
with
the overflow
economics.
with the overflow of cash, that's where the inflation comes.
Yes, yeah.
And then now everyone's going back to work. We're driving more. They have to like restart up all the that's like in the beginning of COVID, gas prices dropped.
Right.
Because nobody was driving.
Yeah, less demand.
Yeah. So they cut down on production. So now everyone's driving more.
Yeah.
They haven't raised production.
Isn't that a weird like principle? Like in economics, like the higher demand, the higher the price. The lower the demand, the lower the price.
Mm-hmm.
But you would think that like if it's a higher demand, you could lower the price because you can build like an economy of scale. Like if you sell more, you can charge less. Theoretically.
Yeah.
That's just a weird like you would think that. Yeah, I don't know. It's just
I think it depends on the products. It's like
I guess this finance is
because it requires for gas it requires you to drive to buy more gas. So if you weren't driving, then it just cut down.
So it's a weird one.
Yeah, it's a weird one. Yeah,
like,
and it's not like us.
It's just so confusing.
Gas is like it's a different kind of way. It's how they have their own system, right? That's like it's not like the country isn't controlling the pricing.
Right. It's a global issue. Yeah. Weird. All right, last two things. If I was thinking about it yesterday, like because I knew we were gonna do the podcast today. I was like, what if everyone had a podcast? No, really think about that. That's weird, right? Like, okay, so if you so basically you don't know me, right? Like you know me. I'm doing an example. So like, let's say you didn't know me, and then you're like, I want to get to know that person a bit more, but I have no idea like if I would jive with them, whatever. They just listen to the podcast, and you're like, oh, I get your free flowing ideas. I get the way you think. I like you. I will, talk to you more. It's almost like if everyone had a podcast, it'd be like everyone had social media. You just log in and you could hear the people you'd want to talk to. Do you know what I'm saying? It's almost like an extra filter.
I understand what you're saying, yeah. But in a way, that's what social media is, though, right?
But right, for sure. But social media is extremely doctored, right? Like, of course, this is like a 1 hour clip, but I'm not editing this thing.
I understand that. But also, it depends who you're like what kind of things you're following on social media, right? So it's like if someone, or like those, like the trucker movement, someone I follow.
Okay, yeah.
So it's like, that's his main content.
Okay, yeah. And then you're like, oh, okay.
So I know him as that, right?
Right. But that's still just like a one way.
Unless they do lives, like the thing. That's why I like TikToks.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Sometimes some of these people go live, and that's when you're actually directly interacting with them.
Okay, yeah. So it's sort of like that too. Yeah, for sure. It just got me thinking, like, it's so weird. Like going back to that thing about that person being like, what is your life like? It's like, just listen to the podcast. You hear what we talk about, or like follow me on social media, something like that. It's like you kind of remove a barrier for interaction.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
like weird to think about, even though it's kind of like Black Mirror-ish.
It's getting to know them. Like,
like you get what I'm saying. Right?
I get what you're trying to say. Yeah,
though.
or it's like not being a stranger kind of thing. It's
yeah.
Like, yeah.
And then we could just pick up on something we share in common.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If everyone had one, then it would be like you'd be able to better filter your relationships, I think.
Yeah.
Or on the surface, you're like, oh, this person seems like this. But then you're like, oh, but they think like this. You know?
Yeah.
Actually, I found that really fascinating. But I mean, like, what would a lot of people talk about? But then if a lot of people just have nothing to say, then it's like, okay, I'm bored with you. I don't need to talk to you. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like a weird, filtering system or something. Yeah, just.
I think a lot of people have something to say.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think so too. But but what is it you're saying? Like if you know what I'm saying. So like if I was like, oh, that person looks interesting, and then I listen to their podcast, and their podcast is all about like, you know, how Jesus is the savior of everything, I'd be like, oh, that is not who I thought you were, and then you can like be on your way.
Right. But it could be for other people who do like that.
Yeah, then go find that person. You know what I'm saying? Like it seems like a better communication method or something.
Yeah, I think that's why I like. I understand what you're saying as podcasts, but I feel like that's where these live streams kind of work out as.
But those are so weird, though. I find like live streams so weird because it's like,
or like I'm saying, like you have your normal content that you put on social media, but you're doing live on the side kind of thing, or like at the same time kind of thing. So it's like you're getting to know them, and then you can.
No, but okay, but with that, it's like a two-way interaction. So it's like you're still interacting with them in a specific manner that they are trying to, like they're interacting with you, right? But whoever's listening to this isn't interacting with us.
No,
this is just what
I guess you're right in that sense.
Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like it's different.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah.
You know, so, but if everyone just captured conversations that they had, like the whole.
I know, but I'm saying like I understand what you're saying. That's why, but I don't listen to a lot of podcasts. Right.
Okay.
I think you do, right?
Yeah, a lot of them.
Yeah. So like
they're mostly interview podcasts.
Yeah, I lean towards more live streams. I like those.
Okay.
Being more interactive.
Yeah, but that feels like a show still to me.
Yeah, but it's all a show.
But like. No, because all right. So to go back to like I was gonna say this before we went on that tangent just now. Remember how this all started? We would go on walks, and we would have literally the exact same conversation we're having, and I was like, "Dude, we should record this." And you're like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "This is what Joe Rogan does. You know, it's just a conversation between two people."
Yeah. I mean, that's where it started from. Like for me, I watched like the old Joe Rogans.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then I did get into all these other like podcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
But then.
But that's what I mean. It's not a show though. It's a show, but it's not like I'm trying to entertain you. When you do the live, I'm trying to entertain you, right? Like, what do you guys want to know about? Blah, 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 you know, they're not just like living. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is just a conversation. Like, we would have this conversation without the mics.
No, yeah.
So it's like, that's what I mean. If everyone had a podcast like this, where you're just like capturing a conversation between you and another person, it creates a weird, a unique filtering system.
No, I understand what you're saying. I don't know. I like the live interaction.
No, totally, yeah.
It's the immediate.
But that's the entertainment value of it.
That's the entertainment value of it, yeah.
But I'm using it more differently as like more of a filtering, not really like a entertain me. You know.
Yeah. I was a huge fan of Periscope. Too bad that's gone.
Yeah, you were. Yeah. Those live.
Well, that's where TikTok is there now. They did the same thing.
Yeah.
But actually, no, I do like. No, the thing I like with TikTok is you can have like another person in you, like join you.
Oh, they do that for Instagram now.
Oh, they do now.
Yeah. Well, for a while.
But you can have like more than one person. So.
Yeah.
So I like those kinds of like panel discussions. No, I started listening to. Is it called Clubhouse?
Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I got into that too. which is again a live talks.
Does it get recorded though?
Yes.
Oh, and then they upload it?
Yeah, you can watch the past ones. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or listen to sorry. To the
so
past.
yeah, but that's exactly what we're talking about. That's what I mean. Not necessarily a podcast, but like some recorded
it becomes recorded, but it's also live. Yeah, and then they will take questions at the end or whatnot.
Okay, but okay, so that's what I mean. Just some sort of, it doesn't have to be a podcast, but just like a capturing of a conversation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Like when you said live, I was thinking more about like the lives that I watched, which are like, you'll take a question from the chat and then you'll answer it.
Oh, no.
Okay, so you're talking about like two people just discussing something and then...
Yeah, you can have discussions, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and like that person is with you on your screen as well, right? So it's like...
So that's the one you're talking about, those
yeah,
live...
Yeah.
Okay.
Like you can have... I mean,
they all... the exact same thing
they're all part of the live, but I like those discussion ones.
Okay, yeah, but all right, so but that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if everyone did those sort of like captured discussion things, it'd be really interesting to see like what people's mindsets are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because when you're talking about like your true self, right? Like there is no true self because we're always adapting.
Sure.
But I mean, like our least doctored self would be this conversation between two people who are comfortable with one another. So it's like a weird peering into...
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's so weird if everyone did it. That'd be so cool, though.
You're right. I think...
If you just want to figure out what something's
it's
like
true.
That.
People don't really talk, though.
That's what I mean. That's exactly what I mean.
Yeah,
when you interact with people... Okay. So
in generalities. That's why I like those other discussion things.
This is what I mean. So like you see somebody in the elevator and you're like, hey, how's the weather? Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's nice. All right, have a great day. I know nothing about you.
Yeah.
But then if you're like, oh, I wonder what that person's about. And then you watch their podcast. You're like, oh, really? Mm-hmm. Oh, dude, I think the exact same way.
Mm-hmm. But someone has to break the ice.
But if you have the context...
I see what you're saying, yeah.
It's like, dude, I was listening to your episode and I was like, whoa, that was crazy what you said there. So boom, icebreaker.
That's true.
Wouldn't it be better?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like everyone should do it. Yeah. And then you'll find like your tribe that way. So then,
that's true, yeah. Yeah, your tribe could be your neighbor. You don't even know.
Exactly. That's more connectivity.
Yep.
And then you can see like, is there depth there? Is there not depth? Are you too deep? Like, oh, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's interesting too, because you get like, you'll realize quickly how bored you get of other people's. Like, I tried watching a couple of other people's podcasts. Like, they're just having a conversation too. I was like, yeah, boring. You know, but like, then you're like it's just filtering, much faster filtering.
Of course, yeah.
And you're like, I don't really want to talk to that person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It just tripped me out because I
knew
we
were recording.
Sense.
Yeah, I understand what
you're saying. That'd be so sick, right? Yeah. And it wouldn't be weird because it's not like it wouldn't be weird because like something like Neuralink, that's too weird because it's like I can't control that filter if I could read your mind, right? But like with the podcast, if you didn't want to put it up, you didn't have to put it up.
Right.
But because you put it up, it means that you're okay with those ideas being out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least there's still like that control aspect of it.
True.
Yeah. Okay. Final thing, because we were realizing it today. It's almost like vocal communication is like a weird crutch. You know, we were talking about Athena, and like that's really what brought it up. Like, how does she know certain things before or like as they're happening as if she could understand English? So like this morning Tara was like, hey, do you want to go to the farmer's market? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then I went to get up and then Athena knew that we were going to go to the farmer's market somehow, and she like got all excited. It was like, oh, let's go. It's like, how did you know that though? Or like you were saying like you were asleep on the couch with her and then she heard Tara be like, okay, bye. And then she got up all excited, like, okay, she's done.
Yeah.
But then she could hear, like, oh, no, wait, they're still having a conversation. Okay, I'll wait a bit. And you're like, but how do you know? You don't know English.
True.
Right? And I wonder if it's like we're handicapped because we rely so heavily on one vehicle of communication, which is words, whereas she has to tap into a myriad of other things.
Sure, yeah.
Like heart rate, scent, noise too, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Yeah, I mean, we would do that. Some people do that, like people who have lost certain senses.
Yeah, for sure.
So other senses increase.
They have to learn how to adapt by like forcing themselves to utilize those other senses they wouldn't have used before.
Yeah.
And then it makes you wonder, like, what is our capability? You know what I'm saying? Like, wait a minute. If we just talked less, we'd have to rely on other senses. So what is the capacity of those senses we've never built up at all?
Yeah, I think humans are very adaptable. Like we have this ability to adapt based on situations.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So if we need those skills, or we'll learn those skills, kind of thing, or we'll train to have those skills be better.
But I wonder what we've forgotten over time.
Yeah, because we don't need them anymore. Yeah.
Weird, right? Like, you know, like Native Americans, they have these, they have like a ton of different ways to communicate, like with nature, with animals and stuff. At least from what I see from like Disney movies. I don't know if it's true.
It depends maybe it depends on tribes. Who knows?
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
I do understand.
It seems like a lost knowledge there. And it's almost like I'm very fascinated to see what we can also do with if we just, that was actually, I went through a whole period of that trying to figure out what our bodies are capable of. So like your brother asked me about cold plunges and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like that's something that the Wim Hof method, I was fascinated by, like way in the early 2013s. Like I saw him on Vice and I was like, how's this guy doing this? So I went on this whole like Google deep dive search and I found out that he's using like Tumo meditation, which is like Tibetan monks. They would go to like they'd sleep outside. Their training was to sleep outside in nothing but their robes and like a very light tent, and they had to figure out how to stay warm in the snow.
Yeah.
So he knew how to do it, and like he popularized it. So now everybody's doing cold plunges. But like, again, what are these things that we're capable of? We just don't know how to do them.
Yeah, because we don't necessarily need them.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. And like I did Wim Hof's online program, and I was telling your brother actually how to do it. It's like you deep breathe in and then you hold the air in and you flex all your muscles, right? And then like your core muscles. And then it gets you hotter and hotter, you know, naturally, because you're kind of just working you're like stimulating your system. But it's like, but that was so basic. I showed it to you in like 2 seconds. Now just go practice it. You know, it's like it's so like forgotten knowledge. Do you know what I'm saying? It's like kind of weird. There's so much there that we've kind of just like let go, but we're capable of tapping into.
Sure. Yeah.
You know? Yeah. I don't know. I just found that really weird.
Yeah, I don't want to say what do you say? It's forgotten knowledge, or like these are also other knowledges that they learned also, right? So like he learned from these Tibetan monks, but they were doing it because of their situation, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they learned it from that. So it's not. I wouldn't say it's forgotten knowledge, right?
It's like not utilizing, or more like, what are we capable of? Question mark.
Yeah, I guess that's the better question. Yeah.
Right. Like, there was actually this one time I still do it when I'm like rolling with someone in jiu-jitsu. I don't look at them, and I'm like feeling their limbs. Because I don't want to rely on my eyes, right? Like, what if, it's kind of stupid, like, but worst case scenario, what if, like, they throw sand in my eyes? Can I still protect myself? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's so stupid. But, like...
No, but I understand what you're saying, though. Yeah.
Right?
It's feeling movements without necessarily seeing them.
Right.
Yeah.
And the guy that I was with, the first time I did it, he's like, what are you looking at? I'm like, oh, nothing. I'm, like, looking at your, like peripherally, just like your shadow. He's like, stop looking elsewhere. Look at me. And I was like, but you don't know what I'm doing, though, you know? But it's sort of like that Jedi thing, you know, like if you look with your eyes, it'll distract you.
Yeah.
You could see more with other parts of you than just your eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's very weird.
Yeah, it reminds me of something, and like I don't remember the line in the movie or something like that, where it happened to me yesterday, like with the racing. It's it's like you're focusing on yourself.
Yes.
As you're driving, not relying, like I'm not looking at how other people are driving, because that's going to distract you. Right, if they do a wrong turn, I'm doing the wrong turn with them.
Yes.
So focus on your own method, and then you'll find your way
Yes.
around them, way around it too, for your jiu-jitsu thing.
It reminds you of like flow states.
Yeah.
You're processing so much information, but not on a mental level, because you'll be slowed down.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If I Okay, we'll take your racing one. So if you used it on a mental level, you're like, okay, turn left now. But the time it took for you to say turn left now in your head slowed you down than if you just turned left.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And like, to go back to the jiu-jitsu one.
The input lag.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So when he's like, stop looking elsewhere, look at me, I was like, you're just adding more input stimuli that I have to calculate with my brain.
Yeah.
You know? It's weird, right?
Yeah.
It's very, so then that opens the door to what else are we like adding that's not necessary. Actually, this just sparked my memory. I just watched the most recent flow state discussion by Steven Kotler. He's like the guy that studies flow. He's like really in depthly performance athletes. So he was saying that, you know how we have that theory of you're only using 10% of your brain. So if you could use more than 10%, then you're able to achieve heightened states. You know that, like the old theory, right? We're only using 10% of our brain. If we could use like 100%, what would we be doing? So what he said was, in their scientific study, we're actually using a lot of our brain power already, but when you enter into a flow state, you actually silence the prefrontal cortex, like your problem solving aspect, because you're letting your mechanics take over.
Yeah.
But if you
that's exactly what happened yesterday.
That's what I mean, right? So that's why I was like, oh, it sparked my memory of when you explained that. It's like, in order to perform at a higher capacity, you actually have to use less of your brain than more of it. Because if you're using more of it, you're like adding too much input stimuli.
So let go, let be, or something like.
Don't think, just do.
Don't think, just do. Yeah.
Yeah. Remember, it was in Top Gun 2.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the same.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He's talking about flow states.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, right?
Yeah, I think that's what I hit yesterday.
A flow state with it.
A flow state with it. That's why I was like, every lap was smooth.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You know, that is the point of Zen, is, can you make your entire life into a flow state? Can you make it so that you're not thinking about every little thing, that you're just acting with life? Yeah, that's why I like Zen and the Art of Archery. Like the point of that book is, like, in order to become a really good archer, you have to like let go and do the move.
Yep.
Don't like try and do the move, just do the move. Oh, was it Yoda? Do or do not, there is no try.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're trying, you're like, oh, I really want it. Like, you're adding so much mental input to try and like get it to work.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just gotta like let it happen. And if it doesn't happen, then it's like you did not do or do not.
Yeah. It's letting go of the mind kind of thing. It's
it is literally letting go of the mind.
Yeah.
Right.
Like not thinking of the past or the future. Or
else it's too slow.
Yeah.
You're too slow. That's why I think the Top Gun one did it the best, because when you're a fighter pilot, there is no time to think of the past, because you're a split second. Yeah.
Especially when you're at those speeds. Yes.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. But that's why I think like jiu-jitsu taps into it too, because when we're going super fast, your body just has to react how it's been like trained to do. Right. Just like driving the
racing.
GT7.
GT7, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting, right? Yeah. I had something else to say about that, but kind of lost me there. Yeah, or whatever. That's all. Just it's an interesting phenomenon that the mind. Oh, I remember what it was. Okay, so in that book, when they explained it, like, if you see a dog and you think, oh, it's a dog, that's when you know you're using too much of your brain, because you didn't need to say it's a dog. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if you're just moving through life, it's almost like what detaching from narratives is, because like if somebody bumps another car, you're like, oh, they just bumped another car. But if it's like, oh, he's at fault. No, he's at fault. Now they're going to get mad. Oh, are they going to fight? Blah, blah, blah. Then it's like your whole brain wheels start turning so quickly. And it's like, you don't even need that anxiety, bro.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And maybe that's what like people who live an anxious life are like. Maybe, I don't know. But like, maybe it's like their mind got too out of hand. Or does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
All right. That's all I got.
Hey. Reach those flow states. That's the
that's the main takeaway there.
Yeah.
But it's like, how do you like?
It's in almost, what you like doing.
No, but yeah, for sure, in what you like doing. But it's like the question of how do you do that? Because I remember when I was like super young, and then my cousin was talking about like she was saying it jokingly. I brought it up to her. She's like, she didn't remember this. I was like, you actually put me on the path to meditation. And she's like,
no, it happened with my cousin too, with I would say like atheism. With he doesn't remember him saying that.
It's weird. Isn't that crazy? Like small drops turn into big ripples.
Exactly.
Right? Like it was such an innocuous interaction. Right? And now it like changed your whole paradigm.
Like they may have just said it jokingly, but they didn't realize how much of an impact that had.
Yes. Yeah. So she was like, oh, are you meditating? Like, I think I was just sitting there like jokingly, and I'm like, what's that? And she's like, you just stop your mind. But she said it so casually, and I was like, what is that? Like, what are you talking about? You know? Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. The little things that what someone can say or do that changes another person's.
Right? And then it created this whole rabbit hole of like, what are they talking about? And like, yeah. It's all right. So be careful of your actions too, because you never know like what little thing you can do that sparks a trauma or intrigue in someone else.
Yes, that's why I try to be careful around kids, because you don't.
Yeah, you never know.
You never know what you might say by accident that could lead them in the wrong direction.
Yeah. That's a story for another time. All right. Till next time, take it easy, bitch.
Peace. Bye.
All right. Hope you enjoyed that episode. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all those fun things, and check out our sponsors, Zenro Clothing Co., Portian Bakery, and Podbean. Take it easy, bitch.
Peace.